So last week I was hearing all this hype about the arc that this week's episode was going to be adapting, and obviously what next week's episode is also going to be adapting, as it definitely seems like it will be at least a two-parter. I was hearing a lot of hype, and I wasn't sure what to expect going into this week's episode of Mob Psycho 100, but coming out, I can really understand why this is a lot of people's favorite arc in Mob Psycho 100, because it did a lot for the characters. Of course, having a really powerful evil spirit that can actually outclass Mob is something to be hyped for in terms of just the visual spectacle that we would witness, but seeing what happened with three central characters in this week's episode really impressed me. The two that really stood out was Reagan and Dimple in this week's episode. Reagan is someone who in this season of Mob Psycho 100 is really showing his true colors, I feel like. In season 1, I really felt like he was just a con artist who, yes, of course cared for Mob, but that's his persona. In season 2, you're really seeing him in a different light. He still has that con artist charm, but you can't deny that he does have skills, as when he was talking to this girl and she was putting on the bluff of, I'm just an innocent girl, my father's the evil one, just saying all these lies that kind of made everyone else in the crowd believe her and say, oh, the father is clearly just not accepting that his daughter's growing up. But Reagan comes out saying, if you believe that, you should all leave. Like, I don't even have psychic powers, but it's clear the way she was talking, this is too innocent. That moment really stuck out to me because I'm like, for as much shit that people might want to give Reagan, myself included, he is very good at reading people and understanding what people are saying. That's why he's such a good con artist, because he understands human behavior, and when things are very unhuman, he can recognize when an evil spirit is at play. That type of stuff is really interesting, not to mention he constantly cares for Mob. He's recognizing that Mob is changing and evolving, he's doing things on his own accord. I like how Reagan is being portrayed in this season. He's probably my favorite part of the season so far, is just seeing how generally good / scummy of a guy Reagan truly is, and I love his relationship with Mob and just seeing where his true skills are when it comes to this relationship. If you wanted me to say what was his relationship in season 1, I'd say he's the guy who gets the job and Mob is the one who does all the work, but now I'm kind of thinking, he might get the job, he might screw over Mob with the pay, but he does contribute in his own unique way, and I quite like that. And Dimple, I have to say, Mob trusting Dimple enough to take over his body, I wasn't expecting that. Dimple is such a wild card, as especially in season 1, you know what Dimple wants, but seeing that Mob trusts Dimple enough to take over his body and leave afterwards, I don't think you could tell many people in season 1 that Mob would willingly do something like that, as risky as it is. Like, even Reagan was like, what are you talking about? Like, you can't do that. That man will not leave your body. And I just thought, like, you can tell on the expressions, like, how happy and shocked he was, but still, when he says, like, go get him, like, you can kind of trust him in that situation. I'm very curious what will happen afterwards, but it was just so shocking, especially seeing, like, this spirit back in the past almost ate him. It was just nice seeing that Dimple moment. It was very quick, but it was a very effective moment that really shows you, like, not only did Mob grow in terms of just trusting it, but you kind of feel like Dimple grew as well. Seeing this all-powerful spirit kind of kill and just do all this carnage as you see some of the most expressive animation in this season, it was both beautiful and disturbing all at the same time, especially as you're watching someone who we viewed as the all-time great, someone who, if he reaches 100%, no one can beat him, and I think he was at like 90%, somewhere around there, and he literally got beat. And the idea that now we're going to watch next week this spirit watch Mob's life without the use of psychic powers, I have no idea the true direction they want to go, but I'm very excited to see, because there's so many directions that they can go with Mob's psyche, especially focusing on his school life while removing the thing that kind of made him special and unique and could stand up to people if he chose to. This arc is fascinating, because for as cool as the action and the power is, this feels like a true character arc where the central characters are really flourishing. Mob, once again, putting himself out there, seeing Dimple maybe even rise to the occasion, and Reagan showcasing his true skills while also clearly caring for Mob. This is what I like about season 2. Season 1 of Mob Psycho 100 is an absolute blast, visual spectacle, completely fun, and it has some very special moments. Season 2 is an emotional roller coaster. Not only did they kick off the season with an emotional and beautiful moment at the end of episode 1, but every episode we're seeing more and more characterization for Reagan and Mob, and hell, now even Dimple, while showcasing some of the most wild spirits we've ever seen in this series, and I can tell it's only going to get better from here, especially if we get a third season to wrap this entire anime up. Mob Psycho 100 has truly impressed me. The voice acting is killing it, the comedy is still on point, the idea of Mob just being happy that he could get a bonus even though he's been underpaid his entire life. You got Reagan just kind of being so cheerful about the idea of like this millionaire possibly being able to pay him a large sum of money. There's a lot of great comedy in this episode, as always. The dynamic between our characters is always entertaining. You're getting the return of my favorite psychic who can rival Reagan in terms of scumminess and conning people out of their money, but still, it's all about the character dialogue and kind of development. This episode was truly incredible. I can definitely say this is my favorite episode of Mob Psycho 100, and it's not because of the powerful spirit at play, it's more of how the characters interacted with each other in this episode and what happened at the end with just the trusting nature of Mob and what he did and got lured into this trap. How could he escape this spider's web? I don't know, but that's exciting. Mob Psycho 100 Season 2 is easily the best season so far, and we're not even halfway through the season yet, and that's how strongly I feel about Season 2 of Mob Psycho. Let me know whatever you thought. For manga readers, how did you feel about the adaptation thus far? For anime originals like myself, what did you think of everything that happened? Your favorite moment? Did you expect the amount of death in this episode? That poor father just wanted the best for his daughter and got literally stabbed by his own daughter because she was being controlled like a puppet. That has to hurt. Literally. Let me know whatever you thought of this week's episode down in the comment section below. Do you love it? Do you hate? Your favorite moment? Whatever you're feeling, let me know, and be sure to like the video if you did enjoy, and also hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. But until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.